Hi everyone and welcome to Health. This week we're going to be looking at healthy eating and how to sort of create a balanced meal each time we eat something. So the first thing to look at, food is really important and we need it because it gives our bodies energy. So if we didn't eat anything, we would eventually not be able to do those really important things like deliver oxygen to our muscles and to our brain. Our heart would stop beating. So food is responsible not only for giving us the energy to move around and to complete our work, go for a run, go play at recess and lunch. It's also really important for keeping our body running. So making sure we eat a proper, nutritious meal each time is going to make sure our bodies are running to the best of our abilities. Kind of like if you gave your car the wrong type of petrol or fuel, it could still run, but it wouldn't run very well. And then eventually something would go wrong and you would need to fix it. So kind of like with our bodies, if we keep putting the wrong food into it and the wrong nutrients into it, then it's going to run, but over a long period of time, it might get damaged and then we're going to need to stop and fix it, which is not what we want to do. Okay, we want to make sure we're putting the right fuel, e.g. food, into our body at all times. So to do this, we've come up with something called the Eat Well plate. So you can see there's a picture of a plate here and it's divided all the different food groups into portion sizes. So the biggest one by far is the fruits and vegetables. They contain lots of vitamins and minerals which helps do different jobs around our body, and they're also low in fat and full of lots of goodies. The fruit, yes, it contains sugar, but our body does need a little bit of sugar for our functions to happen well. And if we are eating our fruit sugar but then lots of added sugar like in our cereals or in cakes and biscuits, then that's when our body's getting too much. So that's why if you've heard of 2 fruit and 5 veg, it's not a case of 5 of each. You've got 2 fruit to keep the sugar intake in control, and then your 5 vegetables, because they're the ones really high in your vitamins and minerals with the smaller amounts of sugar. The next one is carbohydrates. That's the next biggest. So carbohydrates is where we get most of our energy from. So they're full of energy and our body uses the energy from carbohydrates to keep running. Then we have our dairy. So that contains lots of calcium and some protein, which is important for our muscles. We have our protein group, which again is really important for growth and building our muscles. And then we have a small amount of fat. So our body does need fat, but it doesn't need lots. So it's kind of like a little treat for our bodies. So looking at our fruit and vegetables part, like I said, it contains lots of vitamins and minerals. So these things do lots and lots of different jobs around our body, and it all relates to either repairing our body or helping us grow. So it's not a case of one vegetable containing this mineral and another containing another mineral. They all contain different amounts of each ones. So if there's something you don't like, for example, broccoli or cauliflower or Brussels sprouts, then you can probably find another vegetable or fruit that contains those vitamins and minerals that you want. And if you're eating different types each day, then you're going to make sure you're getting everything your body needs. That's why we probably shouldn't just eat apples for every meal, and we shouldn't just eat broccoli for every meal, because we're probably not going to get a balance of all the vitamins and minerals that our body needs. Here is a list of, I guess, what counts as a portion. So our 2 fruit and 5 veg, because they contain, they could be, different sizes. For example, a kiwi fruit is much smaller than a banana. So it gives us a good guide I'm not going to read through these, so if you want to have a read through, pause the video now and then press play when you have read them through and you're ready to continue on. The next group was our carbohydrates, so the bread, rice, potatoes, pasta, couscous, things like that. So this is where our body gets most of our energy from. And if you are cooking these foods, you need to be careful of how you cook them. So I hear quite often, like, I had some chips, so I had a potato, which was good for me. Not really, because chips are cooked in lots of oils and the potato is going to soak up those oils. So it's probably a better option to have a baked potato. So with our carbohydrates, remember, you need to be really careful with how you're cooking them, because that can alter how good they are for our body. Where possible, try and choose your wholemeal version, so your brown rice, your brown bread. But just make sure you're getting your carbohydrates in with every meal. The next one was our milk and dairy. So we have our milk, our cheese, our butter, our yogurts, and they are really high in calcium, and our bodies absorb this calcium quite well when we eat dairy. And it also has our protein for our muscle growth and repair. With our dairy, it's important to try and choose low fat sources, because otherwise we're eating, you know, a bit of our fat portion of our eat well plate without even realizing it. So make sure you're choosing the low fat portions. There are some cases where you need to eat the full fat. So for example, chili is only 1, and it's recommended that younger children eat the full fat or full cream versions for their development. But all of you guys now should be, unless a doctor has told you otherwise, should be having the low fat or reduced fat options. The next one was our protein part of the plate, which was meat, fish, eggs and beans. So it's important to be eating a small portion of these with all of our meals, because the protein helps us feel full, and also it's very important for our muscles to grow and to repair. Then we have the fats and sugar section, which was the very small part of our plate. So our bodies do need these, because we do need a bit of fat. It's like a store of energy in case we, you know, for whatever reason run out of food. And it helps keep us warm and insulates our vital organs. Now, if we have too much of that fat, it's going to stop our vital organs. So that's our heart and our lungs and our brain from working properly. So that's why we need it, but we don't need very much. Our body is very good at storing fat and making fat. And there's different types of fats. So there's our unsaturated fats, which you can see is the green box, and that's good for our body. And you can find them in things like olive oil and avocados, peanut butter, different types of nuts. And that's the fats we want to be consuming. There's also saturated fats, which is normally in those foods that we like to treat ourselves with, such as pie, sausage rolls, sour cream, ice cream, biscuits, cakes. So we want to make sure we're not eating too much of those foods all the time. So it's a very, very small portion of our meals. And I guess we're still learning about this, because Australia is struggling. So we have a lot of our adult population who are obese or overweight. So that means they have not been eating correctly, and they are walking around with extra weight, and that means that they could potentially get some health problems. So like when I talked about at the start, putting the wrong fuel into your body, it works okay for a while, but then sometimes something goes wrong, something breaks, and we need to make an adjustment. So it's better for us to create these healthy habits so we don't damage our body and we keep it running to the best of our abilities. So back to our Eat Well plate. What I'm going to get you guys to do is you're going to have a go at either drawing on your plate, or I've got some pictures you can cut out if you have access to a printer to stick on and create a balanced meal. So Remember, our fruit and veg is the biggest part. It's like a third of the plate. Then we have lots of carbohydrates. And then the last third is made up of our dairy, protein, and fats. So if I show you what you're going to be doing, here it is. So you're going to have your plate. And remember, we need to try and divide it into a third for our fruit and veg, a third for our carbohydrate, and then this bottom bit is made up with our protein, dairy, and fats. So here, if you're not sure what to draw, I've got some different types of foods that you can cut out and stick on there or use as an idea to draw. So what I'm looking for is, can you make a balanced plate based on what we just talked about now? So for example, would we put a plate full of potatoes, steak, what's on the other page, sausages, and then rice? Is that a balanced plate? Probably not, because I've got no vegetables. So I would be looking more at having some beans, some broccoli, some peas, potatoes, and then maybe a steak. Okay, so you can choose to use these suggested items, or you can, draw your own ones on there. So you might like to draw a tub of yogurt, you might like to draw some strawberries and blueberries, and then maybe some muesli. That might be like a breakfast type of meal. So that is what you need to do today. And can you please upload that into your Seesaw student response? All right, guys, have fun and let me know how you go.